Hey, Lynn Swayze here. Today, I want to talk through my marketing message gap. I've gotten a lot of questions about this over the past few years since I created it and wrote an article about it on LinkedIn and shared it on social. And I wanted to talk through it today. So I created this after being super frustrated at a marketing agency, a tech consulting firm more specifically, but we did marketing work where they kept launching either unaware campaigns, like literally they're like, we want to target people who have no idea they have a problem. Okay, sure, why? Or they were launching marketing that was basically sales. And they were wondering why they weren't getting the volume they expected. They wondered why at either end, they wondered why they weren't really getting traction. And it's like, this content isn't working, this copy isn't working. And I wanted a way to explain why. If you're a marketer and you've read Eugene Schwartz and you've read Breakthrough Advertising, you will immediately recognize what this flow is. Okay, but I'm gonna talk through it now. Again, it was designed for B2B people. Obviously, if you're a copywriter or a marketer, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know what this is. This isn't a thing. But I'm also sharing this on B2B, channels on LinkedIn and whatnot. So if you're thinking about content and how to write content, I'm going to talk through that as well. And what we're doing with copywriting and emails and content strategy, and how we're kind of pulling them through. So I'm going to go ahead and share that image and we're going to talk through it. I'm going to talk through it. You're going to listen and hopefully like comment or something. Implement. Okay. Should be able to see it now. Okay, so I call this the marketing messaging gap, or the messaging gap here, because this is the gap, the gulf, the journey between, where am I here? Okay, between where you are, and that's that right-hand side, where you are as the solution provider, the guru, the consulting agency, the person selling the product, and where all of your potential buyers live. All here. They're all here. And you or somebody else has to bridge this gap. Now or somebody else is an interesting point because, I once had an image, it was crappy, so I haven't shared it again, that basically describes why long copy works. And oftentimes long copy works because you're bridging this whole freaking gap. Let's go the other way here. No, this way, yeah. You're bridging the whole gap, right? Now, your prospect may have bridged this gap with somebody else. So it's possible. This is where, like, you bring someone all the way through your funnel, you have a sales call with them, and then they go with a competitor. Why? Because you did a great job convincing them that they need the solution. They just decided that you weren't the best solution provider for them, that they needed the type of solution, but their solution and not yours. And there are lots of reasons why they might choose someone else over you. Sometimes it's just random. Oh, they're on the page. They were in the right mood. They clicked the button. They invest or whatever. But you've got to take them all the way through this journey, all the way through. So where you are and where your buyer is. Okay, so let's start with where you are. You and your sales team and everybody who works at your company and your best, most raving fan customers, they're all over there in just over where that evangelist stage. You have 100% trust in who you are as a guru. So do your people. So do your best customers. You can say whatever and they'll be like, oh yes. Whatever you have to say, take my money, sign me up, because they believe in you. They believe in your mission. They believe in your methodology. They have 100% trust in the product. Right? They know that what you're selling works. They'll tell other people, yeah, I tried it and, these are the results I got. You should buy it. I do this all the time with certain, service providers and gurus that I follow because I believe in them, right? Like, I'm just like, hey, go buy their thing, go buy their thing. They've seen it work before. Not only that, but they share your value set. So they're using the words you're using. They've adopted your worldview and your philosophy. They're thinking about their problem and the solution to that problem in the way that you manufactured, or at least in a way that aligns with you. They had the problem that you solve, and they've hopefully solved it or are solving it. You know, they believe in the solution you provide as the solution. You know, so it's very easy to upsell these people once they're already bought in because you're already in alignment, right? Um, it's just so much easier, which is why it's also easier to, you know, upsell existing customers to the next stage in their journey than it is to try to get whole new people and take them through this whole journey again. Okay, so you're all the way over here. And oftentimes when salespeople put out sales messages, they're like, as I say here, they're pretty close. They're like, do you need, you know, like I had one company where, you know, we ran lots of just very direct sales messages, but it was fine because it was sales, right? Do you need, you know, expert nearshore Python developers for 30 to 40 an hour? You know, our certified Python developers do this, and we offer this support along with it. And, you know, it was like project management, you know, and documentation and a consistent project lead and blah, blah, blah. You know, we can start in as little as 2 weeks. Click here. For the 1 to 10% of people that were targeted who had that need, they acted immediately, like immediately. But for everybody else, they didn't know that they needed a nearshore team. They didn't know anything about the company. They didn't know anything about why nearshore, what is nearshore, offshore, you know, why replace their current team? Can we augment our team? Like, they haven't thought about any of these things. So the message just came across as spam because it was completely irrelevant. Just think of spam as irrelevant. It's either relevant to them or irrelevant. And for 90%, 95%, 99%, it was completely irrelevant. So of course, they're like, oh, why did we only get like 10 clicks? Well, you're at the bottom of the funnel. Of course, you're only going to get 10 clicks and maybe one person interested. And they did. They got $1 million contract. It was amazing. But we didn't get the volume. They're like, oh, why you should have hundreds. And we, no, because you're too close to it. You're too solution aware and like a funnel. So it gets bigger here. I just need to make like colors, right? It's bigger over here. And it gets smaller and smaller as you pull people through, right? Pull people through. Works. They're going to have higher buyer intent. Of course, they're going to be warmer and more ready to buy, but they still have to be pulled all the way through. Whether they do it themselves by like research, whether it's another person that's doing it for them, whether it's you and your marketing messaging and your sales team doing it, they still have to go through this whole process. And this process could be fast. Some people are fast decision makers, and if you present the right information, they are going to buy like it. Maybe it takes 30 minutes. You walk them through and they're like, yes, this is what I need. This is good. I'm sold. I like you. Let's go. Other people take a long time. In B2B and, you know, and especially some of these big enterprise level contracts, it can take up to 2 years, which I think is a little bit high and, you know, probably due to lack of marketing, but it can take 2 years for a project to go through and finally get approved and funded and finally start. A long cycle. You have to pull people through. Okay, so you and your sales team is doing messaging way over here. And oftentimes when I hear marketing doesn't work, which I have been told to my face by tech leadership, which was amazing. But anyway, it's only because you think marketing is this right here. You're not going to get volume here. You're not going to get a lot of action. You've got to catch people at the very right time. And even then, so many people are just bombarded with sales messages. That is very solutionware. They're bombarded with it and they don't want to see more. They feel like it feels like sales. Ugh, I don't work. And then, like I say over here, I'm gonna go all the way to the other spectrum. Some of you are trying to reach people over here when they don't even know they have a problem. So I'm gonna go through these stages. So unaware, desire aware, problem aware, solution aware, and it's like most aware or over aware. So I've had companies that tried to market to completely unaware and try to make them understand that they had a desire or a problem. Do you see how far away this is? These are like switches, right? Flip, 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 flip. There's a lot of switches to flip to even get them to understand they have a problem. Why would you waste your very limited marketing budget and advertising budget and time on people who don't know they have a problem? This is why I don't usually work for agencies, because it doesn't work, right? Don't market to unaware. Maybe get some marketing to desire aware, right? Where you tell stories and you share case studies and success stories, where you can dig at, this kind of inspirational what if, what if your business, instead of one problem, you could be like, what if, you could speak to visionaries. What if you could delegate that big picture idea, that 10-year idea that's just so sexy? What if you could delegate 80% of it? So you could spend your brain space doing the thinking and the creativity and the relationship building and all the fun stuff without having to worry about the technical build and the project management and the content and the copy and, making sure, and the testing and making sure all the little pieces are put together. What would you do with that? Sexy? That's like hitting at a desire, right? And that does work. And you can pull people through there to go, if you've thought about this before, or if you've ever considered this before, you know, that there's a problem with this, right? You have to hire all the people, you have to write all the documentation, you have to micromanage them. And at the end of the day, you don't have time to do this creative processing that really makes you feel alive, that lets you tap into your vision, right? So you can then present the problem and then you can present the solution, you know. Um, visionary clarity is here. I'm just making shit up, guys. Visionary clarity is here to help. We take away all of the pain points by giving you a hyper focused pod of people, who are only working on your project for, a limited time frame to get you up to speed fast and document all the things and build it all. So then you can launch faster than you thought possible at, at 20% of the cost it would normally, 20% of the investment it'd normally take to, to launch this. Again, I'm making, this is why I don't write copy on the fly. You get the point though. You can pull people all the way through, but you have to understand what it is you're doing. Now, when I plan content for people, I'm planning for businesses, I'm planning content for each of these stages because I want there to be an in no matter where people are at. That's also why stories work really well, why success stories work, because you can kind of hit at all of these things without being super obvious about, aren't you tired that like your marketing team keeps failing you? Wouldn't you like a bit, like, you don't always have to be on the nose. Obviously, if you're doing blogging, you can write to these pain points and have some content that, or some posts that touches these pain points, but you don't always want to be on the nose, right? Sometimes you want it to be smoother. And again, that's where stories are so helpful there, because you can hit at the desire and then pivot them to the problem and then pivot to the solution really seamlessly. But yeah, too often there is this gap and people aren't bridging the gap. They're not thinking about they need to start with people who are already desire problem aware, especially problem aware. Once you've got them problem aware, they're in pain. So for a lot of consultants, what problem aware generally looks like is people who try to do it themselves. This is why I love lead magnets that have a consumption mechanism in them, or offers that are like, well, here's what the steps would look like. Here's, how you build this thing. Get them to try it and then go, oh, crap. I'm trying not to curse. I curse all the time. Oh, crap. I can't do this myself. I don't have time. I'm not as technical as I thought I was, or whatever it is. We want to help. We want help. We want experts to come in and make this easier for us. I once did a project for, a very technical machine learning team, where that was basically where we started. Was if you've tried this already internally and failed, you understood you got to see how difficult it was to, match these data sets, how difficult it was to clean all your data. You recognize that your data was not as clean as you thought it was, so while your data team is good, like you have like PhD people, right, on your team, but they don't have time to, do the cleanup and the ETL process and figuring out what to pull together to get this, minimum viable machine learning um, project done. And also usually like, and then, at least in terms of this product, companies were trying to automate everything and trying to do an algorithm for everything. Whereas the team that was coming in, their proposition was, let's get you something, get you a very tiny project, a tiny use case that's going to bring you ROI. What's the closest to the ROI we can get? Let's answer some questions. Maybe it's scoring prospects for a banking product. Maybe it's um, oftentimes like evaluating leads, prospects, customers was, is a really good use case. Identifying people who, customers who sales needed to reach out to because they fit criteria consistent with being ready for a cross sell or an upsell. Maybe it's, yeah, those are some that come up on the top of my head, on the tip of my tongue. But you see how that's different than, do you need a machine learning team? We're here to help. That's so solution aware. Doesn't mean anything. It's not specific. Only people who are like, I know I need a machine learning team and I'm evaluating 10 different agencies, are going to even think about it. And even then, you're not flipping the switches. And so I often say that marketing is math. And I say that not so much in like true mathematical sense. I mean, obviously there's lots of data in marketing, good marketing. We have this data at our disposal and we can slice and dice and see all kinds of things. But think about your marketing machine as an algorithm or like a machine, and like tumblers in a lock, right? So you've got, as I say here, what they believe about their problem, what they believe about their desire, what they believe about their problem, they believe about the solutions available, what they believe about themselves, what they believe about what's possible, what they believe about you. These are all switches you have to flip in your marketing, in your positioning, in your sales pitch, in how you crafted your offer. All of these things have to be flipped. Now you can engineer a sequence and engineer experiences in marketing that addresses those things. You can even do triggers that, have them self-select and, deliver messaging that's directly related to their objections. But you've got to do it. I mean, you can kind of arrive at it by being generic and hitting the most common pay points. Hopefully, you know what those are and you're not just guessing, which that can work to an extent, but you're not going to have the consistent sales and, the really predictable growth. And if you were able to logically and analytically engineer it. So yes, this is the messaging gap. This is just a tool that I use to help explain what we're doing in marketing. It helps me think about what kind of content to create. Are we creating desire-aware content? Are we creating problem-aware content? Are we creating, bottom of funnel solution-aware content? It helps me explain the psychological triggers and kind of what we're trying to do with all of our messaging. And it also explains, Eugene Schwartz levels of awareness a little bit. I hope this helps. I've kind of rambled because I love this topic. If you'd like an eye on your content strategy or your positioning, and an eye on where you can improve and where you could pull back a little bit on the awareness in your sales messaging and in your marketing messaging, LynnSwayze.com is the best way to find the ways to connect with me. And I hope this has helped. Happy marketing.